Oh, yeah. Another very exciting week of, I don't know, comic books in general and me practicing more English. I've been trying, to do a British accent, but I won't try it because it's embarrassing. I don't know what accent I have, maybe Latino, who knows? But regardless, hello, I'm your good old friend Carlz, just a random bald nerd on the internet talking about comic books. Probably one of those exciting things in our small, hopefully happy little lives, right? I mean, I know I'm excited all the time about comic books. It's just one thing that I love. And this week is no slouch, as they say, right? A good couple of things coming out this week. A lot of um, sort of new beginnings that they seem to come often, but like a lot of new beginnings, a lot of exciting thing happening, and above everything, I think that we've been spared by a bunch of comic book sort of news. I read a little bit about the quote unquote leak about Cyclops' new solo series, but it's coming next year. I don't know why people make news about books that are coming like next year. Isn't that a little bit too soon? I don't know. Plus, um, if it's coming out next year, that means that it's gonna come out after the whole Age of Extinction. No, what is the name of? Well, the end of the year X-Men event, right? So who knows? At least I don't think I have, or I've read any more like exciting news beyond the books themselves, which is the kind of news environment that I like, where the news are but the books, the stories, and the characters, right? So I have a bunch to recommend this week. So let's dive right into it. First up, we have Green Lantern. So I talked about Absolute Green Lantern before. I talked about it. How one of the things that I said, and one of the things that I still sort of like follow through when I think about Green Lantern, is that out of all the DC heroes, there's one hero that has never caught my attention. I never found it to be particularly interesting, even though it's really important, right? Like, it is really important. So I keep following the Green Lantern whereabouts, however they come, right? Currently in the main DC timeline, right? They just brought them all together, which is something that I actually appreciate. I don't want to be following all of these Green Lanterns separately and like be super confused or whatever. But in the current situation they are in, right? Green Lantern number 26, they are in this Starbreaker Supremacy story arc. They did kind of like in a really sneaky way a sort of soft reboot of the characters once again by, I don't know, just destroying again like the central battery or whatever. The emotional spectrum is on the frinks again. It seems like every time something important is gonna happen in Green Lantern has to do with the same things. But okay, that's cool. What I like about it is that you can jump right into it. It feels like it sort of feels like a soft reboot. It's already part 3 of this storyline, but I think it's a good point to pick it up because now we have like the full emotional spectrum coming out, you know. And to me that has always been the strength about the Green Lantern as a concept, the whole thing about taking control of the emotional spectrum. There's a lot of emotions going around in each and every one of the main Earth Green Lanterns, like Kyle Reiner, John Stewart, Guy Gardner, all the Earth Green Lanterns are together, and they are like sort of all participating in this reboot, not only of the Green Lantern Corps in general, but like sort of like the whole Green Lantern universe in a way. It's really exciting for someone that is not that much of a fan of the Green Lantern in general. I think this is a great way of sort of getting into it, right? As always, I always try to have some I don't know, like something that I read about the author before, but like Jeremy Adams, I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with him, but by now they have managed to get this huge universe of characters sort of streamlined into just one, not give any particular Green Lantern like more a bigger position in the story than the other ones. So they are all in there, they are all interacting, and this, as I said, is soft reboot of the emotional spectrum. I think it's a great way to approach not only the character but like the whole Green Lantern universe. They keep doing like the blue minis, the Guardians of the Universe or whatever the bosses they have. I feel those characters are so weird because they are supposed to be one of these primordial sort of like entities of the DC universe, but sometimes they just get brushed off. It's like, where were you guys? Like, sometimes they die, sometimes there's just one, sometimes there's many. It's so weird. But anyways, Green Lantern is a big thing, but as I said, they have managed to bring them all together into this one book. You can also get the Green Lantern Corps and all of the other like associated books. It's all okay, but this one, the main Green Lantern book, it's been super fun, and well, it's not gonna make me a Green Lantern like super fan or anything, but as far as like trying to keep up with everybody that's really relevant in the Justice League, this ain't half bad. So that's my first recommendation of the week: Green Lantern, the Starbreaker Supremacy, Part 3. I have plenty, so we're gonna keep moving on. So there's one, you could say, news, maybe, and that is the sort of news that I don't really like. The sort of news that I'm not that much of a fan, because they sort of like not spoiled, but like, you know how they do this thing in comic books nowadays where they try to make news before something happened in a book. So in the current run of the Incredible Hulk, right, by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Adam Gorham, they have continued what happened in the previous volume, right? So a little bit of a pickup of Hulk, right? In the previous years, they have rebooted the character into a mostly like horror-oriented character. They have morphed the way he behaves, the way he acts, and the way he is presented to be this really monstrous character, which has been like a refresher. Like, you don't see Hulk anymore as just a straight hero. That's why you have like Amadeus Cho and She-Hulk, right? But Hulk himself, good old Bruce Banner, has become this horror icon, which has been great since the last volume. It was Al Ewing, I think, before Philip Kennedy Johnson picked it up. But to make a long story short, the guy has been this horror icon, right? He has dealt with the supernatural, and he has dealt with the core of horror, which is the mind, right? They have sort of like rebooted the concept of the multiple personalities that reside inside the Hulk. So the Hulk is not anymore like just Bruce Banner, or like the Hulk is like a mishmash of things. Like when he went inside his mind and fought the demon that was his father, it was great. And they sort of spoiled what's going to happen from here to the end of the year with the big changes in the Hulk. I'm gonna say that as soon as I saw sort of like the headlines, I stopped reading. Like, I don't want to get spoiled by the big changes in the Hulk. But if they say big changes in the Hulk, since I'm trying to introduce the idea that they have been changing the character for the better the last past years, I don't know how to feel about it. Is it gonna be like a change that erases all the progress he's done until now? Like, how are they going to change the character? I don't know. That's why I stopped reading the news. But it's coming, right? The press release is really clear. Like, it's going to change the status quo of the character. Like, it's right there. They are sort of advertising a new change for the Hulk. As I said, I've been loving this horror-oriented Hulk because I'm a horror fan. Like, but I don't know. I don't know. Call me excited, but like cautiously excited. Uh, how can you? How could you not? Right? Like you're loving this character. They changed it like they changed him like so short time ago, and now they're gonna change it again. I don't know. I don't know, but as the press release says, change is coming, right? So Incredible Hulk number 28. It's a good time to get into the character. Um, Somehow I appreciate that the Hulk has been sort of like set aside, like not anymore with the so many like Avengers thing and heroes. I like that he has become a real like a real anti-hero. I really enjoy that. Like I don't know, like you can always expect him to do something like mean and gruesome. Like I don't know, I love it. I love the current Hulk. So I hope they don't fuck it up. Right? I'm pretty sure they won't. I mean, I'm not sure. Just hopeful. So Incredible Hulk number 28. A new era for the Hulk begins. Hulk. Whenever you play Rivals and you get this, you play against the Hulk, right? And they have the old sort of like Doc Bruce Banner hit by Gamma Rays, like Hulk smash and everything. It's really unavoidable to like just grin at it and like to think how far the character has come. I don't know. But at the end of the year brings changes for the Hulk. Maybe it's gonna be even better. I sure hope so. Incredible Hulk number 28. Next. Going back to DC, I have uh, like in a way like sort of like a segue talked about Harley Quinn. I think it's a character that to me has been in a great part like sort of lost, in a sense that since she had that big volume in New York, right, or like it was in New Jersey that she went back living. um, I feel like she's been underused. I don't really think she has had a really fun volume in a long time. I think it's sort of like warm everything she does, right? So it was pretty curious to think that number 53 and this sort of like um, it's a new story arc, right? They straight up went and made the character sort of write the press release. It's strange. But anyways, it seems that she's going back to do the best thing she did after basically sort of like becoming an anti-hero of sorts, right? So the best thing she does to me as Harley Quinn, instead of like being this is Deadpool or whatever, or just breaking the fourth wall, the best thing Harley Quinn does is being a reflection of the villains in DC, right? So apparently she's going back to that, like being this cynical sort of like joke-like reflection of DC's villains. I don't know if I understood the press release. I think that's where they're going. But as I said, it's always unpredictable, and I don't know why I keep going back to Harley Quinn. She has never been a favorite character of mine, except when she's with Poison Ivy. I think they should brand them like DC's first family, like the DC's Fantastic Four. And Poison Ivy's solo book, it's been great. I've recommended it a couple of times. So I guess I just want Harley Quinn to rise to Poison Ivy's quality in the solo books, right? And I haven't laughed at her book in a long time, which is what I love by from his old like her old volume in New York with the whole like skater like what is it, like rollerblading skating thing, like I don't know. I just wanna laugh a little bit at the character by she being this, as I said, the reflection of the bad guys on the DC universe. And I'm really hoping this book goes that way. I mean, the author Elliot Callahan, Sorry, I don't know how I really pronounce the name. I've only read one other like mildly famous book about it. He released a creator owned for Aftershock called The Maniac of New York, which was about this serial killer in New York City, right? And like they tried to catch him, and the detective got obsessed with him. It was kind of like a traditional sort of detective serial killer, like I'm gonna catch you sort of like situation. It was okay, it was fine. I mean, but I don't know how would that be a reflection, or how that would be something that I could apply to Harley Quinn. I mean, the whole serial killer might be a part of it, but the fun thing about the Maniac of New York was, to me, the horror element, right? Having this unknown serial killer that seems to be unstoppable in the most classic slasher way. I don't know how that is going to apply to Harley Quinn in particular, but anyways, fresh start is a fresh start. Am I right? I mean, in comics, it happens all the time, so might as well try to pick it up now, right? Harley Quinn number 53. Ah, this could be like the recommendation of the week. You could put it like that, but I'm still excited. Next, so Gary Dugan of, to me, Deadpool fame above everything. Like, he has wrote a lot of shit for Marvel, but to me it was like mostly the Deadpool, and like a little bit of Iron Man. But whatever, he's been doing a really good job in the current West Coast Avengers. The thing with the current run of the West Coast Avengers, it has a couple of interesting things. Okay, a lot of them. One, Ultron's back, right? And this is sort of like the end of this story arc, where Ultron has divided itself into different personalities, and one of them is good, right? So they are sort of like fighting against different versions of Ultron. And this comic, I think it went a little bit like unnoticed, but it was quite interesting. They used the West Coast Avengers as a platform to sort of highlight like underused characters and a couple of topics which are really interesting, which are like criminals becoming heroes, and heroes going through like really bad spots in their life, right? And of course they had to bring up like a big one, being Iron Man, basically Iron Man, Spider-Woman, I think Wonder Man. I don't know if it's good or not, I mean big or not. But anyways, this story arc is finishing now, and it's number 10, so it's not that long to go back for it. But the thing is that being that Iron Man is in so many things and like everywhere, I think this is one of the big sort of like uses of Iron Man, like dealing with Ultron and like dealing with the personality issues of trusting a good Ultron. That's really good comic book to me, right? Especially as an Iron Man fan, I think Iron Man has been more like Iron Man-ish in West Coast Avengers than in his recently finished solo book or in Avengers. So I liked that West Coast Avengers had like this really ambiguous, morally ambiguous, and a little bit egomaniacal Iron Man. That's in the West Coast Avengers. I don't know, it's been super fun to look at these underused characters, and of course the fact that Ultron is there always lingers some sort of like relevancy for the book, right? It's Ultron. It's like I always thought about doing like a tier list of Marvel villains, because some Marvel villains, if you see them, something big, like shit's going down, right? Like you're talking about Thanos or Doctor Doom or anything, but then you get a tier a little bit below it, and you have like, I don't know, Thanos is like Ultron, the High Evolutionary, maybe the Red Skull. So you can do like a tier list of how relevant these villains are. I think in the past years, Ultron has been coming down since he was fused with Hank Pym and whatever. Like, I think we've missed a big or like a really good Ultron storyline. And even though this one with West Coast Avengers doesn't really bring the character back up on the Marvel villains tier list, I think it's been relevant for the upcoming story of the character, and it gives a chance for it to be more relevant, right? There's no Jocasta or Machine Man or anything, no Vision or anything, but the concept itself has been great. So since the story arc is like reaching its pinnacle, its end, it's a good moment to pick it up, right? West Coast Avenger number 10. A lot of Iron Man in it, a lot of like hero conceptuality, you could say, like with redemption stories and vulnerability. It has everything. It has been really great, especially as I said, if you are a fan of Iron Man. And West Coast Avengers, it's just one of the good ones, right? It's a good time to pick it up too. So, West Coast Avengers number 10. Great one also to pick up this week. Next. So, we go into the... Can you call Image indies? Of course not, right? But Image is moving on with its Universal Monster series that has been great. I have been mentioning it like several times before. Dracula, sorry for my English pronunciation. Dracula was great. The Monster of the Black Lagoon was outstanding. What else? Frankenstein was also Frankenstein was great. They all have been great. The Mummy, I think the Mummy did it end? I don't remember. But our dear old James Tynion the Fourth, one of my favorite. If no, I was gonna say perhaps the favorite, but like I might be lying. But like we all like, comic readers for the past sort of like 10 years, we know who he is, right? Something's Killing the Children. What else? All of his solo books. I mean, he's great. I think I should like have a list of his work, but like Something's Killing the Children is basically his current workhorse. But he's doing Invisible Man. Out of all the Universal monsters, I gotta say Invisible Man is one of the most boring ones, right? He's just an invisible dude. It's never going to be as bad as the movie with Kevin Bacon. That was pretty bad, right? But I think James Tynion lately has been bringing this. How can you say, like, this really? I don't want to say just emotional, but like he's giving like a lot of gravitas to his characters, and I think he can make something really fun with Invisible Man. As I said, Invisible Man is not my favorite Universal monster at all. And one of the things that is brought to my mind when I heard about the upcoming Invisible Man was like, if they're going anywhere with this, I mean, I think it'd be just fine if they just remain these solo comic book reinterpretations of these Universal monsters. It would be, I'd be totally fine with that being the case, right? But who knows? They might do something afterwards with them. Who knows? But James Tynion, he's like how you say, like a sure sell or something like that. Like if you put currently in comics, if you put his name on something, you can pretty much be sure that it's gonna be at least fun. Taking the chance to talk about Something is Killing the Children, that's one thing that has grown like crazy. It really has. It's like a franchise right now. I think I talk about War 3 or some other. I talk about War 3. I'm checking the list. I talk about Wind too. Wind is a great comic by him too. But anyways, He's a sure sell, at least for me. And basically, I'm just like the monsters. I just like the monsters, and he did a great job with Dracula. So let's say how they tackled the Invisible Man. I guess I'm mostly recommending this one because, as I say, I like the monsters and I trust him. So having a nice solo story about the Invisible Man for change it, because it's a pretty lame character to me in general. It's just something exciting to do. Um, I don't know what to think about the rest of the, as I said, the franchise, if you can call it a franchise at all. But anyways, the Invisible Man, Image Comics, James Tynion. To me, a great pick, and a great pick for any fan of horror. Excuse me. That water went the other way. Any fan of horror, uh, go pick it up. Next. This is another character that I've talked about before. It's pretty similar to what happened with what I said about Green Lantern. I've never been a big fan of Thor in general, uh, but I think that above everything, the main issue with the Thor for me is that I don't know. I don't really like that whole mystical, like out of this world thing, right? Like oh, in Asgard, and like for the past 5 years, he became like the All Father and everything. I feel like all of those stories have the same vibe, dealing with like fantastic things in Asgard and in Hell and everything. Like I don't know. I feel like all of those stories have the same vibe. Apparently, they hurt not me, but like who knows, maybe others. And they, after the last story arc where he quote unquote died, right? They are bringing the Thor back to the like sort of like the human side, and now it's called the Mortal Thor. Like the previous volume was called the Immortal Thor. Like this is the Mortal Thor. Thor is back working among humans. What if God was one of us, and all of that shtick. And well, let's hope he does something more unique. All of the Asgard or like fantastic level oriented story for the Thor, they always are attached to that. So he needs to go like, oh, okay, I'm the Old Father, and I'm gonna talk about eternal storms and like big, huge dragons, blah blah blah. But nah, to me that always has the same vibe. So Al Ewing, the writer, he's doing like the Absolute Green Lantern, right? That I talked about it, or the all new Venom, which is like the current big thing in Marvel. You could say it's the current big thing, right? Yeah, I think so. Um, they have been really fun books, but they have grounded these characters in like a really fun way. I really think they have grounded these characters, and well, I think it's a chance for this character, the Thor, to be a little bit grounded too, right? That is my perspective, at least. I mean, thinking about these characters' legacies as part of like the other big hero bands like the Avengers and everything, I always think that when they come together in these situations, when they come from so far away, like let's say being all fathers and everything, when they come from so far away, it really does feel like they are just there for the ride. They're not really implicated in everything since they live and they deal with stuff so far away. So if the Mortal Thor is going back to Earth, I hope he had like a little bit of more like, as I said, grounded and like down to earth, no pun intended, which hasn't happened with Thor since Jane Foster was the what was she the Immortal as well? Well, but since Jane Foster was the Thor, then Thor went away to the galaxies and like. As I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the character, but if they bring him back to Earth, they ground him a little bit, make him more relevant when he teams up with people. Maybe have some sort of like a more like human connection. Eh, might be interesting. It's a good pickup point for Thor as it begins with a new number one by the new series Immortal Thor, and let's see what happens. Let's just hope it's not another like, yeah, it's gonna fight Hell and Loki, but only on Earth. Let's just hope it's not just that. But anyways, I have faith in Al Ewing, so the Immortal Thor. Next, I would need to have like a whole episode to talk about Sana Takeda's and Marjorie Liu's now 10-year long how can you say it, like, I don't know, journey, like you know, this book, as I said, it recently turned 10 years old, and since it's a creator-owned book, it sort of like has had the chance to go its own way. This is number 59, and as I said, this is 10 years of stories. And Monstrous has been a really story-loaded book. Like, 59 might sound like little, but it's a lot. They have crammed so much lore and so much characters into these 59 issues. It's incredible. And like Micah Halfwolf, the star, the protagonist of it, has been through so much shit. So why am I talking about Monstrous now? They haven't announced an ending or anything as far as I know, and it's hard to recommend a pickup of this magnitude. Like, it's hard to recommend a creator-owned image comic release book on number 59 with 10 years behind it. Because as I say, it's not an easy read. But I want to recommend it now because I myself like to find these spaces in between these stories to recommend them. And I think this is a good one. Like, I don't want to really spoil everything, but let's just say that the main characters are in like sort of changing states. To me, it does feel like a little bit like not an ending, but a prelude to an ending. Basically, the relationship between the different species in the monstrous world has reached a point of no return, right? Since the biggest sort of like race of they have like cats, half demons, the jinns, but the main sort of villains, this race of demon-like creatures, they have come out of the woodworks, and they are definitely in a state of evolution that is gonna change the story forever. Is it something like you could say that is really a pickup point? I don't know. As I said, I like to find these in-betweens, and I think this is a pretty decent one. But I have to warn like anyone that ends up listening to me, this is not an easy read. So if you pick up Monstrous in the number 59, you absolutely gonna understand the transition point and where it's going. And I hope this just brings people back and be more interested in what happened before. And as I said, maybe the thing that pushed me to recommend Monstrous now is that sensation that it's been 10 years. It has been a long journey, and for 59 issues, a lot has happened. Like, hell, you can have like a fucking manga that has 1,000 issues, and probably Monstrous has more in it than some of them, like fucking Bleach or something like that. For sure, right? Monstrous is loaded, and I can help this feeling that it might be coming to an end. I just feel like it. I mean, with what's happening now, they would need to reintroduce some bigger like antagonist, and it would feel a little bit cheap, right? You already have all the players in the board, so if suddenly you come up with a new one and tell me this is the shit, it might sound a little bit weird. But anyways, this is another recommendation here because it's hard to recommend such a complex and rich history book, or rich on history or in history book, but I'm gonna do it anyways. If people have not jumped into Monstrous, it's never too late. It's a great, 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 great book. And last but not least, the Avengers. So, a little brief, not history. History is not the way, but the Avengers have had this since the last iteration of the team, right? With Captain Marvel being the boss, having this sort of semi-exile, the Black Panther in it, the sort of like post wedding Iron Man, like the God Storm, the other Captain America, because he's always gonna be the other Captain America, whether we like it or not. But Sam Wilson, they brought a bunch of these characters for this last team of Avengers, and they branded them so cleverly. Like Iron Man was the engineer, Captain Marvel was the captain, I think. So they brought all of these characters in a really interesting moment of their own individual points, but the team up has been really diluted with other team ups with vampires, with like One World of Their Doom. I feel like they haven't really had their Avengers story arc, and to me, a proper Avengers story arc needs to have like universal consequences, right? And universal, I'm thinking about, of course, the Marvel universe. So I'm really hoping that the new story arc coming out now is gonna do that. I really hope it does. Um, Basically, they have been dealing with something that they call like the secret. They did a whole story arc with what's the name of this guy? Kang the Conqueror, right? Basically, they have been like planting these small seeds of a big story. Now we are in number 29 of Jed McKay's run with the Avengers, and they have been planting these little seeds regarding. Remember when I talked a little bit before about the villain tier list for the Marvel Universe? So Kang is sort of like between an A and an S. There are characters that they're always relevant, right? So there's a secret that they haven't fully developed, and they are gonna finally attack that thing. They're bringing up Reed Richards, who is always exciting to have, right? And I feel like this is the big current lineup of Avengers storyline that I've been waiting for. Starting with number 29, right? This super mysterious missing moment and this mysterious enemy, the Mirrodin, that has been dealing with timeline issues related to Kang, right? Where Kang became like quote unquote a good guy. Well, he always does that, right? Kang is always jumping between villain and not so villain. But anyways, I'm pretty sure Mirrodin is just another Kang. I'm pretty sure. But these time traveling sort of like villains, they always have like that same sort of like a trump card at the end, right? Like, oh, it was Kang all along, it was Doctor Doom all along. But whatever, I'm not gonna go too much into it. But as I said, there are elements on these A or S tier villains that are always relevant. Anything they do must have more like bigger repercussions, and the fact that they are bringing that storyline to the main Avengers book, which, as I said, has been lacking or has been like kidnapped by other events or other storylines, this is the moment. every Avengers lineup needs their big sort of like story arc, and I hope this is the current one, like a big storyline. Well, it has Reed Richards on it, but as I said, this current lineup of Avengers was so exciting at the beginning. Was so exciting. They always like sort of like hinted a little bit about like Iron Man having like a less prominent role, or like how would Carol Danvers become the leader, right? They have little sections of Sam Wilson like always dealing with being Captain America. That's something that is never gonna go away. Like it's never gonna go away. As racism is never going to go away, sadly, so is Sam Wilson's constant fight with being Captain America. The exile Black Panther that came from his solo series, like, no, you're not the king anymore. Like, who are you? He was a vigilante for a while in the Black Panther solo series, right? As I said, all of these characters came into the right moment, but it has been event after event, like they haven't really shined as the current lineup of the Avengers. And I really hope this is the point and this is the moment for them to shine as a team. I really hope so. I mean, how could they not? Reed Richards is in it. I don't know, man. But it's Avengers. At the end of the day, it's the Avengers, it's the flagship team up of Marvel, and it has to be this one. It has to be this one. I just know it has to be this story, the one that's gonna finally bring this team to the spotlight. I really hope so. I mean, what's coming up by the end of the year? Imperial is going on. I didn't talk about Imperial. I might talk about it next week, depending on how can I get into the current lineup and like maybe read She-Hulk a little bit. I only read the beginning of Imperial, so I didn't talk about. Age of Extinction is coming up. I don't know if the Ultimate Endgame is gonna have some relevancy. I don't know. All I know is that all of those books can probably not hijack Avengers, so allow this story arc to be the one for this team up. At least that's what I'm hoping. And that's it for like a really packed comic week, man. A lot of exciting stuff. Whenever I say that, is weird though. Like it's always gonna be weird to be excited about comic books, but like, hey, what can you do? Reality fucking sucks, right? Reality sucks. Fantasy rules. So I'm gonna get excited about that instead of like fucking presidential elections or like what? Another human rights violation? Fuck that. Read comics. Share the fantasy. This collective imaginary world full of colors and fun and magic, right? Instead of, I don't know, all of the other shit that's going on. So anyway, that's another week in comic books. Thank you all for listening to me. Don't waste any more time listening to me and go read. If it's not comic books, like some books and watch some good movies. I'm gonna keep talking about them too. Just have fun with all of this nerdy shit because it's just fun. So thank you for listening and see you all next week. Bye bye.